Welcome back to another show. This is No Decorum.
I'm Daniel.
I'm AJ.
And today we have a special guest, friend of the show, Michael.
Hello,
Welcome, Mike.
Thanks.
We call you Mike? Michael?
Michael.
Michael's good? Okay. AJ, go ahead.
So, Michael, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Just a little bit, not too much.
Sure. I mean, so I was born up north, you know what I mean? But since my dad was in the military, like I said earlier, we moved every 4 years.
Sure.
So that third move brought us right here.
Welcome.
So I've been here ever since I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Glad to have you here.
Thanks.
So, where would you say you fall on the political spectrum? Or do you fall? Or is there one particular side you lean towards? Or
Okay. So I would say I would describe my relationship with politics. I gotta go back in history just a little bit. Okay,
Go
so
back, yeah.
when I was a kid, you know, my dad said, I asked him, what's the main difference between, like, what's to do with politics? What's Republican, what's Democrat, and all this? My dad said this to me. He said, see, Michael, here in America, we have a lot of rights. Okay, so we have a lot of freedoms, but to protect those freedoms, we have to have laws. But the more laws you have, the less free you become. And so, you know, I come from a Christian background as well,
Sure.
raised in church, right? That mom taught Sunday school, all that good stuff. And so we tried to, you know, church stays out of politics for the most part, but we would want to vote for people whose interests are going to align with, you know, your Christian values.
Yeah. Yeah.
So naturally, we're not going to vote for somebody who's for abortion.
Of course.
In the end, I don't know if any of these politicians are worthy of a vote. So, but I think that's where I fall is, even if you take religion out of it, you know, you're still left with the values, you know, and so, you know, I know that in America we have separation of church and state,
Sure.
but it could be said that this country was founded on the Judeo Christian values.
It's been argued before, sure.
I mean, yeah, and I know there's a conversation to have there too,
Yep.
and we could debate that all day, but that might not get us anywhere. You know what I mean? And so, and really, I don't even vote.
Okay.
So,
But-
are you independent, or is it a?
I would say, okay. So, if I had to categorize myself, and that's going to be one of my points I'm going to try to make is that
Okay.
we need to get away from using labels. So I don't want to label myself or anybody else, but I guess I would be more libertarian.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that until just a couple months ago when I was having a conversation with somebody who would identify as conservative. And I just noticed that the past couple months talking with this person, how much we agree on a lot of things, but then them things we just do not agree on at all. And in my own mind, I was wondering, what's happening here?
Yeah.
He definitely identifies as a conservative person. So, well, I would say I'm conservative as well, but I'm not. I don't think like he does on these other things, and these are kind of important things. So what's going on here? Well, then that would make me think, okay, well, that's because I'm not. I'll be more libertarian, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens. Well, the whole spectrum, right? On the right, there's a spectrum from the moderates to as far right as you want to go. But yeah, you're right. There's a spectrum, so that's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's
Same
on
on
the
the
other
left.
side too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's,
I mean, I don't identify myself as a, dino,
Yeah.
but
It's a Democrat in name only, right?
yeah,
But
that's the name we gave them. Now, they have a rhino. We gave them dino, so they're Democrats. They're in name only.
You
so,
guys come up with that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
maybe. I don't know. I may have heard it before.
Rhinos
Anyways.
and dinos. Used to be elephants and donkeys.
And donkeys, right? Yeah, either way.
Well, Democrats are dinos. That they are dinosaurs. Some of them. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
Ancient.
yeah. I mean, in Congress, I think I think average age is it's kind of higher than Republicans anyway.
I mean, they leak embalming fluid. They're old, and they're really old. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So we want to talk today about media, right? Mainstream media in general, encompassing also social media as well.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. And you said the relationship it has to us and to politics and what shapes the culture.
Well,
maybe?
sure. I mean, I would say how we're all being affected by it, whether we know it or not,
Yeah.
whether we want to admit it or not. I mean, one might go so far as to say brainwashed.
Yeah.
And then that's everybody. because when we're young, when we're kids, we're told, especially for like me, you grew up watching Sesame Street, and you learn that like the mailman and the cop and the baker guy, these were all your friends, your neighbors, and we should trust you. These are the authorities.
Right.
And mainstream media is itself an authority when it comes to important issues that we are trying to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I think as citizens, as men anyway, we're trying to figure out what's going on in the world, so we can figure out where we fit into it and how we might want to affect it. Or what I mean?
Yeah.
You see all stuff, you hear stuff, and you want to know that there's a part inside of us when we hear something, we want, this is where we want to make our stand, this is where we're going to make our fight, we want to oppose this. Really, guys, I think the reason why any of us pay attention to politics is because even though we have all these rights that are listed in the Bill of Rights, and every single one of these politicians swore an oath to protect and defend these rights, we, in the back of our minds, we always know that they're endangered by these same people. I mean, that's the reason why we care who gets elected.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If they're just up there defending and protecting our rights all the time, then...
Wouldn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
In theory, anyway, right?
Yeah, in theory, of course.
But back to the media. I would say that, depending on where you get your news and information, what mainstream media source, we're definitely being polarized to these camps. You know?
That's right.
What do you consider mainstream media?
Well, ABC, NBC, Fox News, CS, NBC,
Just the big ones.
CNN.
Yeah.
You're talking
Just
heads.
the main ones, okay.
Yeah.
Do you consider talk radio as mainstream media?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The liberal talk radio show. Are there any?
There are a few, but
They kind of died out. didn't they?
they're kind of not popular. Nobody listens to
Yeah.
them.
Couldn't quite hack it.
I mean, on the other progressive side, people don't. I mean, we just don't follow.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we don't follow a person anyway.
That's true.
That's funny. That occurred to me a while back, too. Is like, I remember growing up, there was like Rush Limbaugh. But like, I wasn't aware that he had like a counterpart, that like he was clearly on the right.
Sure.
But I wasn't aware that there was a counter Rush Limbaugh that spoke for the other side.
There is not.
I'm trying to think who is it?
Like, I don't know. Every time Rush Limbaugh was in this little war with Hillary Clinton, like nobody ever came to her defense on a talk radio that I was aware of.
No, there's nobody.
Because we just don't have anybody.
Not there. No, they didn't have the reach.
I mean, even if there is, I don't think anybody listens to because.
No, they don't. Yeah, like on the right, you have what? Mark Levin, Adam Savage,
Yeah.
Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity. Laura Ingraham has a show as well.
Megyn Kelly was pretty popular.
Yeah, that's right.
She
for sure.
tried to go to the other side.
Yeah,
Didn't work out.
Didn't work out, but she had a built-in audience at Fox. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we should talk about maybe agenda, right? What is the agenda?
Okay, so if there is an agenda, and that's hard to nail down. I mean, do they have an agenda, or they're definitely? I think you can say that they're definitely toting a certain line. Okay, so like I like comedy. Right? I used to like it a lot more before it got so politically or politicized. And I mean, it is the job of the comedians, especially your late night guys. Yeah. It's their job to make fun of the president. That's what they do.
Sure.
But you had to have noticed during this last administration that the late night comedian guys were really like nasty towards President Trump.
They were.
I mean, not just making fun of him. Yeah, I mean, we can take that, but like I used to watch John Oliver. I used to like that. What does he do? Last week tonight.
Last week tonight. There is.
Okay, so I used to like why I subscribed to that, but then it was like once Trump got in office, no matter what the topic was, it was like the first 20 minutes was just nailing on Trump. How many Trump is this and that jokes can you just take and then hear, and it just got where it's like not even funny anymore.
About 5 years worth of Trump jokes, at least 5 years.
I mean, Trump provided pretty good material for them.
He did.
No doubt.
And it was getting a ratings boom, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was working for them.
And that goes to mainstream as well.
Yeah.
The ratings are all over the place with Trump in office.
I mean, even the media that you say that's liberal was, I mean, they were showing empty podium for 30 minutes.
Oh, in
in
the
2015 campaign.
Yeah. You ever
I
see
mean, and there was a report that Trump did that on purpose. He was there. He just made them wait.
And they waited.
Yeah, and they waited. And
they were salivating for Trump, or they couldn't wait to get along.
It was all about rating.
Yeah.
They said, I know, and they admitted that this is bad for the country.
They admitted it later on.
Yeah.
Much later, like, well, we spent too much time kind of like coddling Trump for a while just to get him on the air, because his ratings were massive with Trump. Everyone liked him.
I said, but it was making money.
Yeah.
So we
That
said,
sounds like a Hitler tactic, right? Like
Yeah.
Hitler, before he would speak, he would just
It's
wait for everybody to just, and the anticipation then makes what he's going to say powerful because
just you made the comparison, not us. Just so we're clear there. It's usually made on this side, but yeah. Okay.
we don't want to be attacked for that.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Yeah, so they recognized early on that he pulled a lot of people in for sure. His personality was huge. Who knows what he would say? Kind of outrageous things, but
after a while, the rhetoric just got to where, from like every mainstream source, that this guy's a racist.
yeah.
Okay, now, why is that the worst thing to call somebody these days? I could say that, okay, because clearly in the 21st century, we've made a lot of progress away from, atrocities that happened in the past.
Sure.
Some happen to do with race, some happen to do with sex, others happen to do with other things. But we've made all kinds of strides since these horrible times, right? And so nobody wants to be associated with anything like that because of all the progress we've made.
Yeah.
And so another reason is that term is, it's hard to shake off. Once you get that label, that's just it, right?
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, so it's easy to keep doubling down on it, right? And then,
Well, there is the argument that it's lost the force it used to have because it's used so often. It's like when they call liberals socialist. They use it all. The right does it all the time. I mean, apparently it didn't work this time around, but they did label everybody as socialist. Joe Biden was labeled socialist. That's news to me.
I mean, he's. I think he's maybe more to the right than in center.
Yeah, he's pretty far right. He's like a Joe Manchin type. But
Yeah.
okay, but people were calling Bernie a socialist as well. But then again, he was promoting something called democratic socialism.
He was.
So there's maybe an appropriate label, but
for him at least, maybe AOC, but not for all the left. It's not even close. Like,
Right.
is Nancy Pelosi a socialist? She's a corporate Democrat, right? She represents corporate views. So, no, not really. It's like doesn't work that way.
I mean, Joe Biden is nowhere close to AOC.
No,
I
no,
mean, he's-
AOC's.
Yeah.
but like you said, I think a lot of them are corporate, whatever. I mean, no matter what side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my point about media.
Yeah.
That is the agenda for, if you ask us, I think, right? It's to promote their corporate ideas or whatever, like tax cuts or moving away from socialism, right? They don't like the idea of that. They don't like the idea of putting control in the hands of regular people. They'd rather corporations have that control.
Right.
To me, that's their overriding agenda for both sides. But that's a
Yeah.
conversation.
So the media, they're definitely going to advise us to listen to the authorities, whoever they might be, whether it be the Faucis or whether it be your whatever government, right? And they are corporate because, they're funded by military-industrial complex, pharmaceutical industry.
Sure.
And so they're not going to talk about those things. So if there's ever something, I mean, that's why whenever we're about to go to war, right? How do they describe? They flash the F-18 fighters on the screen and they show you the missiles and
propaganda for sure.
Yeah. So look, you guys, here are these weapons we're going to be using. They got no chance against us, and we're going, all right, America.
When Trump bombed Syria, when he first came, what did Brian Williams say about him?
No, yeah.
It was like really
He said these are beautiful. Look at the beautiful missiles.
so
they're shooting."
presidential, and like that's just how they couch these things because it makes people they feel patriotic.
Right.
They
And of
use
course,
that.
when you see the shot, perfect screenshot of the missile
yeah.
blasting off, the American flag blowing on the and we're supposed to go, all right, America. Wait a minute, that missile's going to come down in a second and kill most likely some people who had nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah, which it normally does.
Now, when that happens, are we about to ban missiles?
No,
Nope.
no, we're not gonna do that.
I
We
mean,
can't do that.
Brian, funny that you mentioned Brian Williams. He works for NBC, which was owned by GE. GE makes, jet engines.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, I wonder how.
I mean, they were the biggest contractor for F-16. And when, Gulf War happened, they were the first ones to say, we got to, we have to have. They canceled, what's his name, on MSNBC because of that.
Dylan Radley?
Donahue.
Oh, Donahue. Oh,
Because he
did.
criticized.
He criticized. You're
Yeah,
right.
they canceled his show because he criticized the war. And they canceled him because GE was going to make a lot of money. Whenever there's war, I mean, there's money to be made. And
Right.
we know We know that
And there's
Iraq
infinite
war
money
was
for war.
yeah.
And
I mean, what is
the
it? $6 trillion we spend.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and the reason why we go to war are never what we're being told. Never.
No, you're
You
not
know?
bringing democracy. You don't care about dictators. They're all over the place, right?
And I would say, fellas, that the media is complicit in whatever the government does as far as war, because they're gonna back up the government, whatever whatever's taking place. They're gonna side with, they're gonna tote that narrative, and they're not gonna let anybody ask questions or stray from that narrative. And whether you so let's say that we got two camps. Let's say you got the CNN camp and the Fox News camp. They might differ on Trump and other issues, but when it comes to the vaccine, right here again. When it different on this and that, but then when it comes to military industrial complex, right here again. They're going to tote this line.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that, like you said a minute ago, that there's an agenda.
Yeah, sure. And that's been the case. Remember Jon Stewart talked about that when he had that New York Times reporter on, and he took her to task for supporting the war and just pushing the war.
yeah.
He said, what was her name? I forgot her name. Doesn't matter. But yeah, he took it, and then she had no response. She goes, yeah, we did what we had to do, and we believed in it and the cause. Okay, well.
Didn't she come out and said that she was wrong also?
I think
she
did, yeah.
admitted.
I mean, she knows she was wrong. They knew
Yeah.
they were wrong back then.
Yeah.
What are you pushing an agenda for, right?
And it seems like Americans, we have short memory spans. We forget, okay, so let's take what happened after 9/11. Well,
Right.
we had 19 hijackers allegedly came from Saudi Arabia. What are we going to do, boss? Well, we're going to go invade Iraq.
Wait, what?
Wait. Because so the hijackers were from Iraq? No. But weapons of mass destruction. Oh,
Right,
okay.
right.
Did we find any? No.
Oh.
Well, we're going to go invade Afghanistan. Well, there were hijackers from Afghanistan? No. But they're in the caves and stuff. Did we find them in the caves? No.
Terrorism.
Yeah.
Just say terrorism.
And when did we stop fighting in Afghanistan? Oh yeah, we're still there.
Yeah.
What are we doing there? You can't wait. So the Iraq conflict was like 3 weeks. We destroyed Iraq. They had a badass military for that region. Afghanistan has. What do they got, dude? We're still fighting there. What are we doing?
They got caves. They have what? What else do they have?
They have rocks.
They have rocks.
and so then, then the media tells us that this dictator over here is using weapons of mass destruction on his own people. We got to go intervene. Where have we heard this before and before and before? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, while we're supporting the biggest dictators in Middle East, Saudi Arabia.
Always.
I mean,
Selling
they're
weapons and
they buy, more weapons than anyone else in that region.
they attack Yemen and
Yeah.
kill women and children. Sure, with our weapons.
And so whatever our government decides to do militarily, I'm saying the media is complicit because they make it okay. They let us know, like, hey, you guys, they demonize the enemy for us and demoralize it, and makes it where, look, these are the bad guys. Look how evil they are. They're taking babies out of incubators or whatever.
Yeah.
And it makes us go, oh, how horrible. Somebody should do something.
Maybe we should do something, right? Well, this
That
is
incubator story is also interesting. It was told by a little girl. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah,
During Gulf
and
War.
her dad was the ambassador to
United States.
for Kuwait or whatever.
Yeah.
Kuwaiti, yeah.
And she was crying on, in front of Congress that they were throwing babies, and she had no idea that it was true or not.
Yeah, of course not.
So-
Why would she?
No.
Why would she, right?
And so good call, AJ. And that's just among some of the tactics that the government and the media say they're working in unison or whatever. But by the time it gets to us, and then one of the problems now is most Americans just like buy all that wholesale. And unless you get your news from one of these mainstream sources, well, that's just fringe information. You can't count on that. But wait a second. I would rather trust an independent journalist who doesn't really have a dog in the fight. He's not being endorsed by somebody else, or he's not being funded by big corporation, blah, blah, blah,
Well,
So we have
that's what happens is, they have a agenda there, and they backed by biggest corporations to sell, the airtime, for advertisement and all that. So, and that's what it is. And so what happens is, we really don't get the real news. We say that in media is independent and we have free speech and all that, but you have free speech, but you do not get the independent view of what the real news is.
Right. They give us the talking points that end
Yeah.
up being what we talk about at break. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, pretty
so
much.
as long as they're talking about Trump's hairdo, or you know what I mean, as long as they're talking about something over here that we need to be paying attention to, it allows us to not be able to focus on what might be important for us and our families or our.
This is my feeling about the culture war as well. They use the culture war to confuse us or to get in the way of the actual policy they're implementing behind the scenes. So people get very heated with the culture war, gender things or gay.
It does.
And then behind the scenes, they're making policies that can affect the whole world. So, but they do. They rile us up with these things, I think, and we don't see what's going on.
I mean, so this was a couple months ago now. Don Lemon from CNN.
Donald Lemon.
Donald Lemon. he said we need to get away from demonizing groups of people, which I agree with. But then he followed that up with demonizing a whole group of people. He said we need to get away from demonizing groups of people and admit that the biggest threat in America is white males radicalized towards the right. So, again, here he is in the same sentence, pretty much. We need to stop demonizing groups of people and then demonize the whole group of people.
Well, that is from Homeland Security, right? They released that report where they say that right-wing extremism is the greatest threat to domestic policy or domestic safety or whatever. That's probably where he got that. Now, he is biased, obviously, but that's their report. You can look it up if you want to.
Sure. No, I mean, I'm aware of Homeland Security's how they identify threats. 2010, if you read Homeland Security's list of potential domestic terrorists, it's like evangelical Christians were like at the top of the list. And at that time, in 2010, fellas, you might remember because we have such bad memories, but where was the terrorism coming from those folks? Evangelical Christians, when have they ever done anything that would be a threat to the now on that same list? Again, this is 2010 when I read it. I don't remember exactly when it was produced, but like number 9 was Al Qaeda.
Was it domestic threat or
Potential domestic terrorism.
Okay.
So
I mean, it's in evangelicals are kind of on the fringe side anyway. I mean, they're kind of separated from all the other churches, right?
Evangelicals? I mean,
they don't belong to any church or any
I don't know. They kind
any
of
group.
do they not? I'm not.
Evangelicals, they
much about
don't
that.
believe in. Basically, they don't have a doctrine. I mean, they do read Bible, but they don't have rituals like Catholics have. The bread and the holy water and things like that.
Turning water into wine or
Yeah.
whatever, water into blood. And
Yeah, so evangelicals, they have big mega churches. That's why they're so big, because they invite, and anybody can go, and they don't have things like that. They just kind of give prosperity gospel type of stuff.
Well,
The
that's
pastor.
different from like terrorism, right? Being like domestic terrorist.
yeah, how I can't imagine how these people are perceived as one of the biggest threats facing us. I mean,
a lot of these guys identify as Christian. That's probably why, I would imagine.
because
right-wing
and
guys?
that right there, that just
You know-
boils down to the fact that this is, regardless of what Barack Obama says, regardless of what you might think. I know you guys are atheists, but this is still a Christian nation, and I make that statement based on the fact that over 70% of the people identify as Christian. And Donald Trump said when he was running, he was candidate Trump at the time. He said he was speaking to some Christian group, and he said, if Christians in this country would get together, we would be the biggest lobby in the country, which
They're pretty big now. They have a lot of power.
So I was going to say.
I mean, do you
something.
think Donald Trump is a Christian?
No,
You're not alone.
I think that he, when he speaks to the Christian crowd, he definitely says what they want to hear.
I mean, when you say 2 Corinthians, kind of gives it
Okay,
away.
all right. Yeah,
Or hold the Bible upside down.
What do you prefer, the Old and New Testament? Both, equally both?
Yeah,
yeah, right, yeah.
they're great on both sides.
They're good on both sides. Yeah, no, but again, that's what politicians do, right? They tell you what you want to hear. It's
Funny
nothing
because
new.
his name is actually in 2 Corinthians. Yeah, it's like 2 Corinthians 15:51.
Okay.
It's the final trump.
The final Trump.
He didn't capitalize on. Look, it's right here. I'm the final Trump. But
Well, we don't know that. Ivanka might be running pretty soon, so we'll see. Florida?
Well, for Marco Rubio's seat anyway.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
Wouldn't mind seeing
he
that.
he was asked about that, and he was kind of blah 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 blah
yeah,
blah.
he's nervous.
Yeah.
Little Marco, that's fine.
So why is it that you guys think that Americans don't catch on when we see politicians playing these same games when it comes to like warfare and
Well, we all like being part of a tribe. That's one thing, and there's really only two parties to belong to, and safety in numbers. I think they find a party that identifies most of their concerns, and they stick with that party. And a lot of people probably realize that it's nonsense. A lot of it is, and that we still continue to go to war year after year.
because when you I think you're onto something there, Daniel. But then when you talk to somebody and you can get out of them that, oh yeah, I don't believe what the mainstream media says. I know it's so much lies. But then you present them with something that the mainstream media is not saying. You're treated like an outcast. Like, where do you get all these fringe ideas from? Well, you know what I mean? You're treated like an outcast because you're using your brain to ask questions that
Yeah.
you're not popular to ask anymore.
Well, the problem is,
Conditioning.
the people are too busy to look at those things deeply.
Right.
Mostly people are just skimming the headlines.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They
right.
they try to get it from the headlines. The other thing is we keep them busy. In winter it's football, spring is basketball, summer is baseball, and in between there is 4th of July and
And then you're working,
Thanksgiving,
you're raising
and you're
families.
working.
This.
Yeah.
Most people don't have time. I mean, I bet more people know about injury list for Cowboys than they know what's going on in their city.
That's maybe true.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
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 And I've said this before too. Sometimes I'll be at work and I'll be on break, and some of the other guys will start talking about sports. They'll start talking about NASCAR, and that's when I'm just quiet. I don't have anything to offer there. My dad didn't watch football. I don't watch football. I'm more pay attention to.
Are you American?
I tell you what. As far
I
as
don't
labels
either.
go, I do identify as an American.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm one of those.
Yeah, I don't follow sports either, so you're not alone. All right.
And now, as far as being a proud American, pride is something that you should take in an achievement, some kind of accomplishment. So,
But it's a pride that's based on. I mean, I don't want to offend you, but you didn't do anything for that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
Yeah. Okay.
But as far as like I said earlier, we grew up and we knew what patriotism was around our house, and that's
How did you guys define it? I'm just curious. What is overall? What do you mean by that patriotism?
well, patriotism will be being proud of your country because of what it stands for, what you perceived it stands for, and that's, I guess, comes pre waking up and realizing that everything is